Hello, everybody. Welcome to my podcast. You are what you consume and acknowledge. Radio podcast and opening Pandora's box. I'm your host, Goddess Asha Mariama. I appreciate you guys for joining me for this episode. If you guys like the commentary and you want to hear more, please go to Spreaker.com/. You are what you consume radio podcast and opening Pandora's box. And on my YouTube channel, you can check it out on From Darkness to Light Radio Podcast. A little bit about me. I'm a certified recovery, healing, and recovery coach. It's all about helping people on their paths and their purpose and their journey to a new and better you. I'm also doing this on TikTok as well because this conversation that is about to take place is one that a lot of people just are not going to like. But it's a conversation that needs to be had. And I'm going to get into why in a second. If you guys can also hear it on iHeartRadio, Amazon, Google, Spotify, Cashbox, iHeartRadio, and multiple other streaming companies. And if you want to send me letters, be a guest on my podcast, or you would like to just sponsor my channel, you can reach me at ASHAMARIAMA. That's ASHA.MARIAMA01@gmail.com. Now, today we are going to be talking about a lie being a truth and a truth being a lie. Why do we need to have this conversation? Because it seems to me like our whole entire lives have been based on a lie, based on an illusion that doesn't even exist. That part. There are a lot of people that are feeding into a fantasy that just doesn't exist. As I went into my healing and recovery, as I went into my isolation, cocoon, and hibernation stage, I learned something very valuable when you watch things from afar. I learned something valuable when you just sit back and you just observe. I learned something when you just are not a part of something and you really take the time to really listen. You take the time to really watch. You really take the time to digest and research and pay attention and really just trust your instincts and your, intuition. When you don't let your emotions get involved, you just sit back and you just observe. You're going to find out a lot of things that is what's not being said sometimes. The one thing I learned about wants and desires is that wants and desires are actually demonic. And I'm going to explain why I say that. Because what makes wants and desires negative is what you're willing to do to get them. It's what you're willing to do for love, like, appreciated, valued, wanted, needed, to be a part of something, to be validated, to be approved of, to be accepted, for somebody to know your worth, and proving something to somebody. What you're willing to do to be captain, save a hoe, build a bears, build a dolls, seed fillers, and people pleasers. What you're willing to do to get what you want, even if that means destroying somebody else, destroying yourself, lowering yourself, in order for you to have what you want. That is why a lie can be a truth and a truth can be a lie. Because it's whatever of that version of that lie that you choose to believe. The problem is, even though you want what you want, James Scott Farron, it doesn't mean that what you want is meant for you. Just because you desire something doesn't mean it's going to be reciprocated. Just because you want somebody doesn't mean that person wants you. Just because that person chose you doesn't mean they accept you. Just because they accept you doesn't mean they chose you. So let me give you a very good example of that. Let's just say that you are a football player. basketball player, whatever sport you play, and you get on a team. And the problem is the team that you're on doesn't like you. Even though the coach chose you, the team don't like you. So you're being bullied, harassed, threatened, stalked. You got all these people doing all of these things to you, giving you a hard time because they don't accept you and they don't want you on the team because you're a threat, because you're really good at what you do. So just because someone or something chooses you doesn't mean that it accepts you. So when it comes to a lie being a truth and a truth being a lie, it means that you're quick to go after the lie. You are quick to accept the lie more so than you're quick to accept the truth. When someone tells you the truth, you don't want to accept it. You want to sit there and be like, no, 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 no. Yes. You want to see what your version of that person is, but not who they truly are. You want to believe the nice things they're saying about you, but they're destroying you in the same concept. So even though this person claims they love you, yet they put their hands on you. This person claims they're attracted to you, but yet they're essaying your child. Oh, okay. It's just like that illusion that you thought. And I hear it all the time when you say it, when people get divorced and they break up, you weren't the person I thought you were. They never were. They were what your version of them was, not their version. And after that person gets tired of living that version that you think they are, that's where infidelity and adultery come from. It comes from that. That person no longer wanting to live a lie. That person that is tired of being what you want them to be. Because you hear it all the time when people get caught with infidelity. You're sitting there asking, how could you do this to me? And they say to you, you always want me to be this person, that person, and so on and so forth. But that ain't who and what I want to be. I don't want to be that. They never were that. They were what you wanted them to be. Mr. and Mrs. Captain, save a hoe, build the bears, build the dolls, and seat fillers and people pleasers. And that's why you went through what you went through, because the same way you wanted your parents to be a certain way, and they're never going to be that. Well, guess what? Your spouse, your friends, your job, and even people you don't know are going to be the same way. What you want in people is not always what they're going to be. So even though you may want these people to be a certain way, even though you're attracted to this person, even though this person may give you the best sex you ever had, that don't mean they belong to you. You don't know who else they've been with. You forget when they leave your house, they're not yours. They're only yours when they're in front of your face. So there is no telling what they're doing behind your back. So even though you're the one being faithful, you're the one doing right because you love this person and you're doing what's right, that don't mean the other person is going to do right by you. You lowering yourself does not mean that somebody else is going to lower themselves for you. And 9 times out of 10, relationships are not 50-50, and they're supposed to be. Like this delusion that it's 80-20, what is it? 80-20, 90-10, 70-30, 60-40. No, it ain't. It's 50-50. It is 50-50. Men are right when they say that. They're not wrong. It is 50-50. But there's a little part that y'all seem to forget. Y'all were single. You are still an individual in that marriage. Y'all are both individuals in this marriage. You just came together as one to raise kids. But you are still two different people. When you lose yourself to become what somebody else wants you to be, you already living a lie. You are living a lie because you are not being what you want to be. You're not doing what you want to do. You're doing what everybody's expecting you to do. And the one thing about healing and recovery, and the reason that people can't completely heal, because you go right back to that behavior. I'm going to be what everybody else want me to be. I'm going to go back to lowering myself. I'm going to go back to doing what everybody else want me to do. You lose weight, and then you turn around and that man leaves you for another woman. Just because you lose weight doesn't mean you're healthy. Just because you lose weight doesn't mean that insecurities and all them doubts that you had ain't still there. Oh, they're still there. That old version of you is still there and will always be there. Do you think you change because you lose weight? You think you're better because you're making millions of dollars? Do you think that person that you were is not still the same person because you got money? What people fail to understand, the physical external part of things does not change the internal part of you. It does not change that. However you were before you made money, however you were before you became successful, however you were because before you became a wife, however you were in any shape or form, is not going to change because of the fact of what you have. The external does not change the internal damage. The external does not change the insecurities and the doubts that you have. It don't. So when a lie is a truth and a truth is a lie, y'all are quick to believe a lie before you believe the truth, because the truth is too painful for y'all to understand and accept. So if somebody tell you, I don't want to be with you, if somebody tell you they're not going to hire you, y'all don't want to accept that. So you'll do anything and everything to try to get this person to love you, when your response should be, that's fine. You're not my person anyway. But instead, you go chasing after this person, trying to bend over backwards. That person coming to you saying, if you love me, you'll have sex with me, and you give in. Why? Because you want that man to love you by having sex with you. You up here doing threesomes, foursomes, fivesomes, sixsomes, 71880 McDonald's type of thing. Y'all up here ending up being influenced, doing drugs, doing alcohol, ending up addicts, because you sat up here trying to be accepted and end up on drugs. It's just like when you have kids playing spin the bottle, and you got young kids under the age of 21 drinking. That's like saying you go to a party and you never drunk in a day in your life. Your friends influence you to drink, and instead of you saying no, you start drinking. And what ends up happening? That girl ends up getting SA because she got drunk. Now, what would have happened if, one, she didn't go to the party, two, she didn't drink? So instead of going with your instinct and just saying, no, I'm not going to drink, instead of you saying, I'm not going to feed into these influences, you feed into it. Why? Because of the lie. Because you figure by doing this, you'll be a part of the group. No, you're just going to end up being an addict. You're going to end up being SA'd. You're going to end up being taken advantage of. Nobody thinks about the consequences and repercussions, which should be the first thing that should come through your mind. The truth. The truth should be the first thing that should come to your mind. And the truth doesn't always come in the beginning. It comes in the end. And the reason it comes in the end, because you never searched for the truth in the first place. You believe the lie. You believe the deception. You believe the manipulation. You believe the wolves in sheep's clothing, the boy and girl that cry wolf, the sirens, vampires, and snakes, the Jezebels, the harlots, and the succubus that are sucking y'all in every day by their boo-hoo, cry me a river problems. You taking on problems that ain't got nothing to do with you. You paying other people's bills that eventually gonna be expecting you to do it. And then when you don't, now they're telling everybody you abandoned them, that you did all this stuff wrong, and making you look back. While you up here giving up all your money, while somebody is driving a better car than you, living a better life that you're paying for. You're paying for it. You're paying for your parents' mortgage. You're paying your family's bills because you want your family to love you the way they love the golden child. Your parents didn't pay your way through school. Your parents want you to cover up you being SA'd by a family member. Your family putting your sibling on a pedestal and making it seem like you ain't nothing to nobody. Do I sound familiar? You've been lied to since your childhood. You got celebrities whose parents have made millions of dollars off their kids being in the industry as kids, and when they turn 18, they have nothing to show for it because mom and dad done spent all their money and they can't get their money back. So that child working in the industry don't see a dime of their money when they turn 18. They don't see a dime of it. Gary Coleman is an example of that. You had Webster that had to do emancipation. Him and Macaulay Culkin had to go against their parents to do an emancipation. So I'm just trying to understand, why is it that the truth is so hard for y'all to accept? It's been there the whole time. You just prefer to see the lie. You choose to basically accept your version of what a situation is, your version of who this person is, your version of how you want things to be, but not what it truly is. And then when you realize this person ain't everything that you thought they were, now you in court crying, and now you got 2 kids that you got to raise by yourself as a single mother, or now this girl done drained you of everything as far as your income, because you were too busy looking at the version of her that you wanted her to be and not the version of her that she actually is. Just like women that end up quitting their jobs, quitting their careers to be with a man that now throws it back in your face that you're a housewife. That part. So yeah, these men will tell you, oh, I want you to quit your job. I want you to work. And then 20 years later, they're going to leave you for the same woman you used to be. That woman that was independent. Because when that man starts making major money, he is going to want a woman that was exactly the woman you used to be. Walking contradictions. Walking contradictions. So when you meet people, don't you date people based on your interpretation of them. You date them based on who they truly are. Because some people are sitting in jail because of somebody else's problems, somebody else's influence. Because you want to be Captain Save-A-Ho, you want to get involved in something that wasn't even had anything to do with you in the first place. For example, you got young kids that unalive their parents because they want to date some boy, because they want to hang out with their friends, and their parents don't want them hanging out with that child, and yet they want to hang out with them anyway. And you know what they do? They unalive their parents. And now they're sitting in prison. And that same boy or girl that they did this for is now talking to a whole nother female. True story. There was 2 girls that kept fighting over the same boy. I'll never forget the story. It was on Snap. It's been on every unaliving show you can think of. But anyway, these 2 girls were fighting over one guy. Caucasian girl, Hispanic girl. Fighting over this boy like the Monica and Brandy situation. The boy is mine. So then the Hispanic girl goes over there to fight the Caucasian girl. The Caucasian girl comes out with a knife and unalives the girl. Now the girl's unalive. Now she's in jail the rest of her life. This boy gets on there and admits he's been playing both of them. And now the girl is gone. He ain't going to jail, but she is. She going to jail. He ain't. You got women out here that have been in cults. Y'all, I went after a man that was running a cult. When I tell you he still got some of these girls far gone, he got these girls far gone. When I tell y'all that man is in jail for the rest of his life plus 10 years, I hope they never let him out. The influence that not only he had on men, but he had on women, because he also was messing with men as well. And he had STDs and a possibility of having HIV. Yeah, I have a story to tell. If y'all have any idea what I went through in that situation, I am writing a book about that. When I tell you these people tried to destroy my life, when I tell you they did everything under the sun, from getting me fired, to go after my family, to contacting my family, to threatening to take my child's SSI, God knows what else they did. They harassed me for hours. making up so many accusations it wasn't even funny. Well, he in jail now. So now I got the last laugh. But the point that I'm trying to make is that's a good example. When you got the person that is trying to go after the person, that's trying to stop the negativity, stop the evil, and you got people coming after you, and you the godly person. You the one trying to do the right thing. You trying to save some females and trying to do right. And yet you're the one being attacked worse than the person that's actually doing the wrong. And that's the thing I keep telling people. Y'all have no idea how negative people work and how negativity works. And this is what made me decide to become a coach, because y'all got to stop arguing with negative people. Y'all got to stop trying to save negative people. Let them hit rock bottom. You want me to tell you why they don't hit rock bottom? They don't hit rock bottom because there's always going to be somebody one place tap and save a hole, build a bear, build a dog, see, fill a people. Please. That is why. There's always somebody trying to save these people. It is always somebody that feels sorry for them. It's always somebody that basically sees potential in them, not understanding the person before you thought the same thing. The person before them thought the same thing. Every single person before them thought the same thing. Not only that, some of y'all are dating golden children who are now doing to you what they did to their sibling. That part. So if you really want to break this down for what this is, it is really simple. Stop seeing people from rose petal glasses. Stop thinking someone loves you because they cater to your feelings. They cater to your feelings so you won't actually see them for what they are. Your feelings are just that. They're an action. Feelings are an action. That's why your behavior and your decision and your behavior and your actions are based on your reaction to things that your five senses basically are reacting to. So whatever your five senses are reacting to, based on how you hear something, see something, feel something, taste something, touch something, smell something, you react to it. And that is what you're reacting to, how everything that is coming to your five senses, how it impacts and affects it. So the reason why you react without thinking is because your senses are reacting first. That's the first thing that's going to react is your senses. So if you hear something and you don't like the way that you're hearing it, you're going to react. If somebody is touching your body in a certain way, you're going to react. If you eat something that causes you to have a reaction to something, you're going to react. That's just what we do. The problem is that with anxiety, that's because your body does not understand how to react to it. So when you have a reaction, your brain got to come in and say, calm down, calm down, calm down. How I know? Because I've done this before. I had an allergic reaction in a car with my mom. I will never forget this. We had went to Golden Corral, and I didn't eat nothing that was seafood. But for some reason, something I ate, apparently somebody touched something and they probably touched something that had seafood on it. But I was in the car with her and I started feeling really, really bad. And I said, Mom, take me to the gas station now. And I'm just sitting there like, calm down. 1 potato, 2 potatoes. I just kept saying, it's going to be okay. Instead of her going in there to go get me some Benadryl, I'm up here having a panic attack, walking in a store, trying to remain calm from going to the hospital. And I'm just sitting like, I got this. I ain't do this. And so I said, I'm waiting in line. I'm like, please, God, can I please get to the register? So I took the Benadryl. I told the lady, I'm sorry, but I'm having a reaction. She said, are you okay? I said, yeah. So I took it and it ended up working. But I had to say to myself, I'm either going to let my body react to this or I'm going to take mental control and try to calm down and get some Benadryl. But if my mama would have kept going, I probably would have, she'd have probably had to call 911 on the side of the road. But luckily, I told her when I started feeling bad, I said, Mom, please take me to the nearest gas station. And so I went in there, calm as can be, grabbed it, had them open it, took the Benadryl, sat for a minute, and then told her to drive. But that's because I had to take mental control. But if I would have let my body take control, it would have been panicking and I'd have ended up dead or ended up in a hospital somewhere. So sometimes you got to take control and say, breathe. That's why I keep Benadryl in my house. At this point, I take Benadryl everywhere. Now, if it's to a point where I got to have an EpiPen and I ain't got one, then yes, I might have to call 911. But that has happened to me many times before. I was in a Hilton motel, and that's happened before. When I was Fort Lauderdale, I was in a Hilton for a timeshare. That happened when they gave me some strawberries, and somehow seafood infused in the strawberries because the smell of it ended up in my strawberries, and I had a reaction to it. So sometimes when you eat something and you have a reaction, sometimes it's not always the strawberries or chocolate itself. If there is somewhere where there is nuts or, it's in the air, it can infuse in your food and you can have a reaction that way. That's why when I go to Fort Lauderdale, I probably will just eat the basic McDonald's, Pizza Hut, stuff like that. That'll be about it. But if I go somewhere where I can get something that's not seafood or anything nowhere near it, I'm fine. Even when I go on this cruise, I told them I have a reaction to seafood. So more than likely, I would probably have to have something, either a salad or something of that nature. But if it was made in there for seafood, I'll go to Guy's Burgers or whatever and just get something to eat. But the point that I'm trying to make is that when I started looking into the real reason I had seafood issues, oh, yeah, I know why people have issues. Why you're having issues with certain things, it took me some time to figure that out. The reason why a lot of people are having allergies to things later on in life is because the chemicals that are in your food. Yeah, that part. So it's not the fact that I'm allergic to seafood per se. It's because the seafood is out there in water that has oil and litter. Okay? Your water is contaminated. And because of that, the seafood is not clean. That's why so many people get listeria. No, that's in food. That's coming from seafood and stuff to where bacteria is getting in our foods from out there in that ocean out there. The minute those oil spills and all of that litter got into that water, made all them fish out there contaminated. Not only that, there are chemicals in your foods in the grocery store that cause cancer, that cause listeria, that cause COVID. COVID did not come from airborne. It was in food the whole entire time. It was what you ate. Why? Because the first person that got COVID ate a bat that had COVID. So, like I said, that's why so many people kept wondering why people were getting sick and they didn't go nowhere. Because of what you ate. COVID is in food. So if you're eating an animal, if an animal has COVID and it's in the grocery store and you eat it, you're going to get sick. COVID was never an airborne disease. It wasn't. It was a food disease because a lot of animals had COVID. And a lot of people were eating animals that had COVID. You were eating stuff that had COVID in it. So again, lie being the truth being a lie. Lie number 2, marriage. Marriage. Why is marriage alive? Why is marriage alive? Because the version of marriage that we know is a lie. Second of all, y'all are quick to say that before you get married, whatever you did before the marriage shouldn't even marry. That's a lie. It does matter. What you did as girlfriend and boyfriend trickles in the marriage. Whatever you did when you went on dates trickles into your relationship. It does matter. Not only that, it's a walking contradiction when you got a whole sex industry that is out here and your men are going to the strip club. How are you going to be married and go to the strip club? How are you going to be married and have single friends? Walking contradiction. How are you going to be married, not alone having sex, and you got a kid in the house? Explain that. How are you going to be able to have you and him time when you got a newborn? Do you not know it's over $100,000 to raise a kid a year? So if you want to talk about walking contradictions, here we go. You can't have a happy marriage when you're in a country where promiscuity is the number one money maker in this country. Do you know the sex industry is the number one business in this country behind the fashion industry? The sex industry makes more money than anything else in this country. Do you think they're going to give up the sex industry to save marriages? No. Next contradiction. If you think this government wants y'all to stay together and wants y'all to stay married, no, they don't. They just want you to have kids. Elon Musk's mother said it best. We just want y'all to have kids. We don't care if y'all stay together. We don't care if your marriages work. Matter of fact, we don't even care if you raise your kids. They don't care. And yet, y'all still getting married. When you have no idea what marriage truly is. Y'all up here having sex, thinking sex is about having fun, when sex is about having children until you can't have no more. You can't have fun having sex until you can't have no more kids. That part. Just like y'all think marriage is about romance. No, it ain't. Marriage is about raising kids. Marriage is children, mommy, daddy. So let me break it down for you. You go from being dating to girlfriend and boyfriend, aka my version of being a fiance, aka girlfriend and boyfriend, to being a fiance, to being, a wife and taking on that man's last name, to, deciding when y'all want to have kids. But see, there's a few steps that's missing. Number one, don't you think you should buy your house first? Don't you think you should be in your career first, where you're making enough to not only be able to take care of kids, but also being able to take care of yourselves? Should you do everything y'all want to do and travel and do it all like Beyonce and Jay-Z did before they had kids at 30? See, walking contradictions. So it just tells me the reason y'all want to get married is because you just want to be in the white dress and saying, I got a ring. I got a ring. I don't care. I don't care. Hey, girl. I don't care. A ring does not stop a man from committing infidelity. A ring does not mean another woman can't steal your husband. So I don't want to hear none of that. So all of y'all talking about, I got a ring, that don't mean nothing. You have his last name, don't mean nothing. I still can steal your husband if I wanted to. If I really wanted your husband, I can have your husband. Why? Because your husband is not of God. God don't lead his life. Because if God led his life, a man would not be having sex till marriage. If y'all want to have this conversation, let's have it then, shall we? Why are men having sex before marriage? You having sex with all these different women, and yet you want me to be a virgin, but you're not. How is that possible? Please enlighten me of that. How is that possible? So if you want to talk about lies being the truth and a truth being a lie, they just want you to work. That is the truth. And they will do anything to get you to work, including make you broke. They raise the bar for that particular reason. So that's the way I look at it. So at the end of the day, Kimasabi, let me break it down for you. Since you say I'm ranting, then tell me this. Where am I ranting at? Tell me where I'm wrong at. Okay. You said you're a man of God, right? Let me ask you a question. Since you want to go here, Mr. Cowboy, are you married? Are you faithful to your wife? Have you ever cheated on your wife? Does God lead your life? Are you celibate? Did you wait to marriage before you had sex? Did you wait? And what made that woman your wife? I mean, I'm just saying. Please don't come in here trying to patronize me. Because at the end of the day, how can a man be a wife? I'm sorry. How can a man lead when you let society lead you to the slaughter by having sex with multiple different women and having multiple different baby mamas, and you ain't with none of these baby mamas, but you continue to have babies? Oh, let me go there. Y'all ain't even paying child support, because let me also break something down to y'all. The average woman that is not a celebrity only gets paid between $50 to $110 in child support. And if they can't find you, then guess what? She don't get child support, because they don't chase y'all behinds when y'all leave the state. The only time they chase men for child support is if they are in the military and if they have money. Please, where am I wrong at? Where am I wrong at? Where am I wrong at? How many females' hearts have you broken? How many females thought that you were going to marry them when they gave their bodies to you, when they took care of you, when they sat there and been faithful to you? How many women, Mr. Cowboy, have you been faithful to? How many women have you done right by? How many women have they mouth on what's between your legs? How many women have you done threesomes, foursomes, five ones with? Since you want to have this conversation with me, what discipline? How easy it is for these females that got no money, that didn't help you build nothing. The ones, in the immortal words of Chris Brown, these hoes ain't loyal, that have sat up here and took you for money. Girls that never wanted to date you when you were broke, but yet now you got some money. Here they come. Here come all the women that never wanted you in the first place, but your ride or die, you willing to give up now that you done made it. So now that you've made it, now you have no use for her. Where am I wrong at, Kimosabi? Where am I wrong at? How many girls under the age of 22 has had their firstborn child by a young boy who told them, if you love me, you'll have sex with me. If I take the condom off, you can't get pregnant. And run around and tell every single solitary woman, no, every single solitary man, young boy that is, that she's easy. How many of their mamas say that little girl is a hoe? That was her first time and she's pregnant. How many of these mothers' boyfriends been sitting there messing around with somebody's daughter? How many of y'all in the age of 40 going after an 18 to 16-year-old? You want to have this conversation? Huh? How many of y'all will tell your wife of 40 years that I want a 21-year-old? You want to have this conversation? Oh, we can have it. But I promise you, you ain't going to like it. How many of these young boys under the age of 22 have their firstborn child, still get to be able to go to college, still be able to go and do whatever they want to, and still ain't got to take care of that child? I'll wait. How many of y'all even want your kids every 2 weeks? How many of y'all are calling us to come get them because you don't want to keep them over the summer? How many of y'all can't even keep them for 24 hours? How many of y'all, if a woman ends up homeless, will come get your kids and take care of your kids while she get back on her feet? How many? How many? I'll wait. Riddle me this, riddle me that. Stop playing my face. Stop playing my face. Because the one thing you're not going to do in here is try to play me. Because I am not somebody in any capacity that ain't prepared. There are millions of young girls that right now are looking back at their life at the age of 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, looking at every single solitary man that they've ever dated and saying to themselves, I was alone the whole entire time. I was basically by myself while this man was with multiple women. Multiple women. The whole time they were in that relationship, they were being cheated on. Every relationship they were cheated on. That girl was at home. She was cooking. She was cleaning. She was taking care of man, taking care of the kids, doing everything she's supposed to. And yet, and still, you cheated on her still. You let the harlots and the Jezebels and the succubus come in and mess with your relationship. The girls that didn't do nothing to help you build. The girls that just because they look good got plastic surgery and because they now want you because you got some money. The main ones that want half of your income. The ones that having babies for the bag. The ones that showing off everything. You mean the Delilahs? You mean the Bathshebas? You mean them? You mean the ones that make you go against your God-forsaken what's right? You mean the ones that find out your weaknesses and basically have you out there like Samson? You mean the one like David that destroyed a whole entire empire because he wanted his soldier's wife? And he destroyed his soldier and had his soldier put to death because he wanted his soldier's wife? Oh, you mean that? You mean the same ones that convinced Adam to eat a fruit, but yet got mad because Lilith, when they was having sex, didn't want to be on the bottom? Oh, you mean that? Oh, you mean how men still feed into that same forbidden fruit that they shouldn't be messing with? Because now it ain't good girls' fault that y'all be out here messing with these women that's having y'all eat the forbidden fruit that make you die. I mean, because if the serpent would have never went to Eve, and basically not only that, Adam was sitting right there. He was right beside her when she ate that fruit. You want to know why Adam let her eat that fruit first? Because if she died, he wasn't going to touch it. Because he knew he was going to get another wife. Why? Because he already had another wife before he had her. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I hit a nerve? Did I hit a nerve on TikTok here? Because I think I hit a nerve. Welcome to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Yeah, you weren't ready for that conversation, was you, Mr. Cowboy? But see, that's the thing. When you have truthful conversations, you come with receipts. When you are a new and better version of yourself, you have receipts. You can prove your thought process. You can prove everything that you said and stand on business is what you can do. So at the end of the day of this conversation, a lie can be a truth and a truth can be a lie. But I promise you, somebody gonna say I'm every liar in the book. But then when I start pulling receipts, even if I do pull all the information to prove everything that I just said, I would still be considered a liar because it's gonna be somebody that's gonna try to justify what I just said. You can't justify negative behavior, but yet you do. A sin is a sin, regardless of what sin it is. But yet you say what somebody did before the marriage does not matter. It matters what happens after. Nope, because what happened before the marriage is worse. What you did before the marriage is way worse than what you do after the marriage, because whatever you did before the marriage, if you committed infidelity before the marriage, it will trickle into adultery in the marriage. Because here's the thing, if you really want to go here, If you were cheating throughout the whole entire relationship, and then that woman or man decides to cheat on you, you're the one that brought that in, not him or her. So really, the karma is really on you because you're the one that committed infidelity first. But you're going to make it seem like that wasn't the case until everything comes out. And then come to find out you were the one committing infidelity. You just thought that other person didn't know about it. Well, guess what? That other person found out about it. And while you was out there committing infidelity, that person was out there committing adultery. Two wrongs don't make a right. But guess what? That's why that happens. Because while you think that other person has no idea what is going on, that other person is preparing to leave your behind and gonna make sure they have somebody when they leave. Or some people will just leave. You got people out here, women out here that find out their husbands are cheating and will start a business, start a whole brand, and leave their husband. And their husband has no idea that girl has either some type of inheritance or she built a business. And he has no idea about it. He thinks you don't have a business. He thinks you don't have a brand. So again, a lie can be a truth and a truth can be a lie. It's just a question of which one is it. So at the end of the day, like I said, I don't care how you come at me. I am all about the truth. I know a lie when I see one. I know a lie when I hear one. Because until your actions show me otherwise, everything that comes out your mouth is a lie. Unless you can prove it. Unless you got evidence of what you can prove. And the thing about it is, even if people have receipts to prove their theory, people still won't believe it. You can sit right there and tell your homegirl her man is cheating. She still won't believe you. You can sit right there and tell a wife or husband everything that man or woman has said about that person. And I promise you, they still won't. So do me a favor. Stop playing with me at this point. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me. At the end of the day, as a recovery and healing coach, I am not going to sit up here and play nobody like that. That's how recovery works. Is seeing the truth for what it truly is. Seeing people and situations for who and what it truly is. And if you don't, you will continue to go through the same things you've been going through. And I know it's hard to see the truth. It's hard to believe that some people going to be alone the rest of their life. It's hard to believe that some people will probably never have a friend ever in life because of the way society is. There are some people that's never going to ever have anybody. There are going to be people out here that basically, essentially are going to be successful, but probably be lonely. You're going to have people out here that basically, essentially are traveling the world and doing their own thing, and they are not miserable. And they're alone. You're going to have people out here that's going to be traveling all around the world and eventually going to find their place and find their people and find their tribe. You're going to have people out here that have been told every day that they're not good enough, they're not worthy, they're not deserving. You got people out here who have lowered their self-esteem because people have been telling them every day they're not good enough, they're not worthy. People wanting you to lower yourself to build everybody else up. They up here taking care of everybody else, make sure everybody else is happy, but neglecting their feelings, neglecting their needs, neglecting their wants, and neglecting what it is they have going on. So at the end of the day, please miss me with the nonsense of everybody gonna be happy, everybody gonna find love. That would be a lie. Not everybody is going to find love, and not everybody is going to be married. There will be people that will be single. There will be people that may not have friends at all. There may be people that basically, essentially are on a mission and they are focused on themselves. There are people that don't want to be in relationships because they already know they've already been down that road. In every relationship they've been in, they've been hurt. The reality of it is y'all got to stop lying, because here's the truth of it all. Relationships are only geared towards specific people. They are not geared to unattractive people. They're not geared to overweight people. They're not geared to people that have a disability. They're not geared to people that have made mistakes over and over and over again. They are only geared to attractive people. Only attractive people can get married. Only attractive people can have relationships. Only attractive people can be successful. I'm not doing this with y'all, because that is what society portrays. There are people that have been bullied, harassed, threatened, stalked for no reason, all because they exist. All because they don't fit society standards. Y'all say it all the time. Ugly people don't deserve to be in relationships. Ugly people don't deserve to be happy. Ugly. What makes somebody ugly, by the way? I'm just trying to understand. What makes somebody ugly? The fact that y'all sit up here and try to tell people, based on their flaws and imperfections, that they do not deserve to have what beautiful people have, is ridiculous to me. Every time I turn around, all I see is beautiful people in the industry. Every time I turn around, all I see is people that, even though they are attractive, that are miserable, that still get cheated on, that still go through the same thing as somebody that would be unattractive. I am so sick of y'all with this nonsense. I am tired of y'all sitting there lying to unattractive people, telling them if they get their hair done, if they do this, they can do that. It don't work. It is specifically for attractive people. Everything, marriage, all of it is based on aesthetic. They worry about what their kids look like. They worry about what society thinks about them. Even in business, you got to look a certain way. So please explain to me why people can't be who they truly are. How can people be who they truly are when they have to live a lie? Prime example, you got women that lose their hair, that people tell them, oh, you need to go put a wig on. Oh, you need to wear makeup. Maybe if you lose a couple pounds, you'll get a man. Let me tell you something. I'm a living testament of this. I tried all of that. I'm still single. I am still single. So from somebody who's 51 years old, who looked at all of my relationships and my recovery, and every one of them, they cheated. Never took me nowhere. I was the male in the relationship. I was the one paying for everything. I wouldn't even know what it's like for a man to give me flowers. I wouldn't even know what it's like for a man to even take me out of town unless I get pissed off about it. Even in high school, I never went to the prom. Boys never dated me. Every man I met through my friends or I met online. Never had a man walk up to me in my life, ever. Ever. I got the friends with benefits. I was with 2 men for 7 years, and the whole relationship, they cheated. I did everything right. I was faithful. I did everything as a godly woman that I was supposed to do. Still got cheated on. So you tell me, for the girls that were raised to be married, raised to serve their husband's plates, raised to cook and clean, raised to raise children, the ones that learned about sex and yet still get cheated on, the girls that do the threesomes and done all of that and still get cheated on. So you tell me, do you know how hard it is to look at your life and you look at everybody that walked out, all of them, and include your friends, your family, everybody, and you look at the fact that this whole entire time you've been what everybody else wanted you to be except you. You did everything the way everybody told you to. You're the one that's always the giving, never received. You're the one that everybody doesn't think that you don't need anything. You don't want anything. And then when you become successful, you feel like, I got to help my family. I got to help this person, that person, so on and so forth. And am I being mean? No, I'm not. But this is how healing begins. You got to stop living the lie. And you have to accept things for what they are. But the one thing that God did teach me in this journey of almost 10 years of being by myself, God taught me this. My tribe is coming. My husband coming. But God was like, what you should have did was just been by yourself and traveled the world. You should have just been successful and not worried about whether you have friends or not. Your friends would have came. I would have brought you your friends. You didn't have to change anything about you. So that's what I want people to understand. Healing is about accepting yourself for who you are and stop living the lie. Because there are a lot of people right now that not only had to deal with their family and accept the fact they didn't have family, that their parents never loved them in the first place. Their parents never wanted them in the first place. They sit up here and they got to accept the fact that their parents put their siblings before them. They had to accept the fact that the love that they want from their family, they're never going to get. They're never going to get, they're never going to get what they want. And the only thing that happens is we go from wanting what we want from our family to the men we date, the women we date, the friends we have. You know what I'm saying? So it comes to a point where you may not be the most beautiful person externally, but you got a beautiful spirit and a beautiful heart. And in the immortal words of Halle Berry, and she said it best, I may not be the most drop dead gorgeous woman in the world, and I may not have fake hair down to my neck, but the one thing that I have is a heart, and it's a crying shame that it's always being broken by men like you, people like me, people like this person. So when you come to that realization of how many times you have been broken, not just by men, not just by women, but your parents, your friends that you're not friends with no more, the men and women that you dated, that you thought when you told them what you've been through, say to you, I'll never hurt you. I never lie to you. I never do this again to you. And then tell you, oh, you was just a seat filler. You were just someone that, because I was lonely, that's why I was with you. Oh, they do. Hey, girl. Yeah, they do. So I just want people to understand this channel's different. This channel gonna hit home. I talk about these country Wayne skits. I will talk about topics that y'all ain't gonna go there, but they need to be discussed, because here's the thing. In order to heal, in order to be the new version of yourself, number one, you got to deal with family. Family is the first ones you gonna have to deal with. And I mean boundaries. Because the same thing you want from your family is the same thing you want from your husband, the same thing you want from your friends, the same thing you want from your job, the same thing you want from everybody. Respect. Respect. It is not about love, it's about respect. Because here's the thing. Respect brings all the rest of it. It brings the love, the like, the appreciate, the value, the wanting you, the needing you, the value, all of that. It comes from respect. But if you don't respect yourself and you don't stop basing your self-esteem, self-worth, self-value, your confidence in yourself, and you believing in yourself even when nobody else does, that is what's important here. Your loving you should not be based on anybody else. You. Because it don't matter if nobody loves you. It don't matter if everybody and their mom put your whole entire world out there. Who cares? They weren't there. If all of your situations have been closed, this is what healing is. Healing is closing all your old chapters. Closing everything. Parents, friends, all of it. Every person you got an issue with should be closed. All chapters should be closed. Before you start a new book, before you start a new chapter, before you do anything, close the books. Because here's the thing. Once you close these chapters, right? And you close the chapters, nobody can hurt you with your past. Nobody. So if you close the chapters, for example, and let's say you in silence, right? And you in isolation, right? While you in isolation, while you around your friends and family, you're building something, right? Let's say you won the lottery. And let's say you don't tell nobody. And you get this lottery money and you start building. They still think you live in the same apartment and you still let them think that you live there. Let's say you buy a house. Nobody knows you bought a house. Everybody thinks you still live in your apartment. You kept your apartment. Why? Because you don't want nobody knowing that you live in your house. You don't want nobody to know that you have money. Why? Because that's your tranquility, right? Well, guess what? Recovery leads to healing your tranquility and your peace, right? That becomes non-negotiable. So when I say that, that's what healing leads to. A peace and tranquility that is non-negotiable. Why? Because all your chapters are closed. You have boundaries. And those boundaries can't be crossed because this is your sanctuary. Nobody can come into your sanctuary unless they force their way in. You let them in, or they manipulate their way in, or they lie their way in. But either way it go, that mat on my door says call and text first before you come by. You don't just come home to my house. Well, guess what? This ain't my house. My house is me. My foundation is the body that God put me in. That is what needs to be protected. This house is not what needs to be protected. I am the one that needs to be protected. That car is not going to protect me. This is my home. And when I came to that realization, I realized that I have been damaging my home, which is not only my internal health, but also my mental, psychological, emotional, spiritual, my financial, and my relationships. But all of those things have done damage that is irrevocably that I can't change. But I realize my home is where I am, where my body is, where my mind is, where my spirit is. This is my home. No matter where I go, home is where I am. So I'm not protecting any of this furniture. I'm not protecting any of this in here. I'm protecting me. So you can take it all and take everything. But I'm still here. This can be replaced. Only have one life. And that's what healing and recovery is. And that is the first step. Understanding that. So it doesn't matter if nobody loves you, nobody likes you, it don't matter. The point is you are still here. So when you heal and when you recover, all of the chapters from your past, every emotion needs to be gone and you need to relinquish it. Let God pull you from the world, because that's what God did for me for 10 years. God pulled me from the world. Matter of fact, God pulled Jesus from the world. God pulled Moses. God pulled Noah in a boat for an ark. How many people has God pulled from the world? When God pulled Moses from Egypt and the Israelites from Egypt, do you think that was just from some reason? When Joseph ended up being sold into slavery and ended up being Pharaoh in Egypt, you think that was random? So yes, God will pull us in many different directions, but you gotta let him. And sometimes God will pull you by yourself for a long period of time because God wants you to heal. God wants you to love yourself. God wants you to close chapters. So when you go back out there in the world, you know how the world is. You know how the world works because you've been watching it from afar. God is having you watch the world from afar. And God is like, I pulled you from the world because there's something that's getting ready to happen that I don't want you out there. The world has sat there and destroyed you. So now I'm pulling you because the way that you're trying to help people is not the way I want you to do it. I do not want you to be used. I do not want you to lose your blessings. I don't want you to die. I want you to live. But I want to heal you. So every flaw, every imperfection, everything that people will use against you as a weapon, they can't, because no weapon formed against me shall prosper. That's what that means. So when you got people trying to use your flaws, your imperfections, your mistakes that you made, they cannot use it unless you allow it. So when people are sitting there talking to me now negatively, I say, are you done? Do you feel better now that you said that? Because now that you said that, I'm walking away from you at this point. Because my peace and tranquility is not going to be defined by you. My happiness is not defined by how you feel about me. You telling the world about my past, so what? What does that got to do with anything? I'm not the same person now. The past is dead and gone. I repented for my wrongs. I made amends to the people who I've wronged. And I've forgiven the ones who have wronged me. So bringing up the past means what? The one thing that negative people are never expecting when you say, I forgive you, but not for you, but for me. I forgive you for me because I have no feelings for you at this point. I feel nothing. You did what you did, but I have to take accountability that I allowed you to. That I allowed my feelings to cloud my judgment and not see you for what you are. But do I regret what I did for you? No, because I did the right thing. And yeah, I got hurt for it. But see, God told me now, because of you, the correct way to help people. So now, because of you, I only help people professionally. I don't help people personally. That part. So again, are these conversations easy to have? No. But that's the one thing about healing. It's about truth. And even though I had to sit back and cry, and even though I had to sit up here and accept a lot of dark truths, I am so better off now because of it. So I accept things for what they are and change nothing. I don't want to change nothing. Change something for what? Why do I want to change people that don't want to change themselves? Why do I want to try to help people that all these years never tried to help themselves? So again, when you close them chapters and you finally come back out into the world, you come out into the world a different person. You come out in the world with non-negotiables. You come into the world and you're just like, okay, you don't like me, so what? I don't care. Say what you want to. Don't care. I didn't get a job, so what? Because God has something greater for me. That's why when I became a podcaster and I became a coach, that's why my podcast is now doing well. Why? Because again, podcasting, I did not see coming. Me doing podcasting was something that I never thought that I would be doing. Now I'm doing interviews with doctors and different people about health and wellness. Now I am getting people wanting to be on my podcast. So again, you never know where your destiny is going to take you to. And sometimes the destiny that you thought was going to be your destiny, it never was. It never was because you never took the journey to discover who you are. And when you discover who you are, then you will discover the only reason you were working because that was what was expected. And that's what you've been told. That's the only way to make money. But when you go through these discovery, I realized that me being a coach, do I have to file taxes? No. I can make money and not and keep all every single dime of my money. But I ain't gonna say that on social media how I'm going to achieve that. But that's my point. We have been bamboozled our whole entire lives. We have. We're not living our dreams. We are working to make money, not because we love it, but we are working to die. We are working to make billionaires money so they don't have to work. They're not the ones doing your jobs. You're going to school just to be a worker. You're not doing your actual talent. And what does that mean? Doing your actual talent means doing what you love. Meaning you wake up in the morning, you ain't got to do it all day. For example, me doing coaching. Okay. My podcast is an hour to an hour and a half per day. I have 2 on Friday and 2 on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. I have 10 podcasts I do. Okay. So that's only an hour to an hour and a half of my time, unless I do an interview, it might be longer. Then I do my social media. I don't have to be on all day. So here's the thing. If I was being syndicated in my podcast and then I was being syndicated on my YouTube channels, would I have to work? No. Then if I was charged $175, and let me pull my calendar up. I'm gonna show you the math of what I mean by doing something that you love. I'm sorry, yeah, I've been talking the whole entire time. I didn't realize when I clicked on my calendar that it went out, and it's my bad. Anyway, but if you decide to be a doctor, the whole point of becoming a doctor is to eventually have your own practice. The whole point of being a computer programmer is for you to eventually have your own business and your own clients. Okay? Uh, So I want people to understand. Lord, I want y'all to understand. It is not about working until retirement. It's about you working until you own something that is of your own and you are working for yourself. Not working for anybody else, working for you. So again, when it comes to a lie being a truth and a truth being a lie, is when you are working and doing for other people and lowering yourself and struggling and you're still not getting by. You're still not where you need to be. You're in a relationship where you're in it alone. You're doing everything on your own like you are still single. And I hear people talk about it all the time. They be like, I feel like I'm still single. Guess what? You are single. That person left a long time ago. The minute they cheated on you, the minute they were with somebody else, they were no longer yours at that time. So I get it. So I understand where y'all are coming from. And I absolutely understand. But at the same time, if you're not doing what you love and you're only making other people money, you're only making other people happy, and you still ain't where you need to be, you're still struggling with your bills. Here we are. So the matrix of the red pill and the blue pill, and I'm going to conclude it here, that's where we all are. We all are working for other people that are sitting back, making decisions, going to the golf course. They're out here going on vacation while you're working their companies. While you're working their companies, they're making billions. While you're spending money in the store, every dime you got, you are not doing what you want to do because you're not. You're not doing what you want to do. You are doing what you're expected. Because when you get your paycheck, what is the first thing you do? Pay your bills. Do you have any money to go on vacation? Nope. Why? Because vacations are expensive. Can you go on vacation and go when you want to? Nope. Why you can't do it? Because you have a job. You got to do PTO. See, at one time you had unlimited PTO salary. But yet everybody was mad because hourly was getting PTO, not understanding that you had something they didn't. You could be able to go on vacation whenever you wanted to. Why? Because you had unlimited PTO when you were salary. See, again, I can go on and on and on about a lie being a truth and a truth being a lie. They intentionally made people make that choice because at one time people were basically working salary. And when you work salary, you get unlimited PTO because your salary is already in place, but that also includes the overtime. And people that were getting salary was actually making money than people were making more money than people were making hourly. So again, a lie can be a truth and a truth can be a lie. But welcome to my channel, ladies and gentlemen. So again, when you are up here doing stuff for other people and you're not the one benefiting, you are lying to yourself. When you're wanting people that don't want you, you are lying to yourself. Point blank period. So I'm going to end this here because I got to edit this other video because unfortunately on my YouTube channel and my LinkedIn channel, I have to edit the video. Why? Because it went out. When I did the calculator, it went out. That's one thing about this computer. Thank God I got it on here. So I'm going to try to do it where it's going to be recorded on both channels. And I'm going to do it as a replay so I can upload it. But I'll make sure I put a note on my podcast that Basically, essentially that there's a space in between. But I just want y'all to understand that I get it. But like I said, when I went through this journey of my healing and recovery, it is no longer about a lie no more. It is about the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. That's it. So that's how I feel, a lie being a truth and a truth being a lie. Because in the end, if you don't start seeing things and people and situations for what they truly are, you are going to be screwed. Your life is going to pass you by, and you're going to be 50, 60 years old or on your deathbed thinking about coulda, shoulda, woulda. If you don't let go of the past and move forward and focus on what is and not what coulda, shoulda, woulda been, if you don't stop seeing people for what they are instead of what you want them to be, you wanting people that don't want you, you trying to basically make people love you that don't, you're wasting your time. So with that being said, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I do. Without y'all, there's no me. I'll be nothing without y'all. So I'm going to edit this video. Thank God I did it on TikTok because I probably would have been screwed. But again, accept things for what they are. Stop trying to change things. If you get rejected, so what? Somebody don't like you, so what? Who cares? At the end of the day, like I said, you got to do what works for you and do what makes you happy, even if everybody else don't approve of it. Your journey is not everybody else's, and not everybody gonna be on your journey. So please stop being Captain Save Host. Please stop being Build-A-Bears, people pleasers, and seat fillers. Please don't do that. Follow your path. Make something that is of your own. Leave something that will live past your children and live past you. Something that will help people. You don't want to leave this earth and all you did was work. And all you did was what everybody else wanted you to do. So when I see people that sell everything and go out of the country, when I see people that are living on boats, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at anybody that's living their dream, regardless of how old you are. Live your dreams. Because God never said we were supposed to work until the day we die. All you're doing is making billionaires a bunch of money. That's why if anybody work for me, I'm never going to have you work for me forever because I don't want you to. I want you to work for me, but then I also want you to do something that's your own. So if I had you working for me as a coach, no, you're also going to become a coach. Just like all of my patients, y'all going to become coaches because you're going to be helping other people. So my goal is to help people find their dreams, their goals, and what they want to do, and living their dreams and their peace and their quiet and their peace, quiet, and tranquility is non-negotiable. Permanent solutions to the things that can be controlled, the things that can't. It just is what it is. So I just want to just come on here before I do the next live I got to do right quick. So that being said, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Until next time, we'll talk later. Bye, y'all.